Let's get started with an overview of continuing care retirement communities. If you've thought of moving to someplace else in your retirement years, you may want to consider a CCRC. This kind of community is designed to suit seniors no matter what their level of activity or their need for medical care. Here's a look at how they work.
At a certain point in life, many seniors find that the homes they once cherished have become inconvenient or a downright burden. Some seniors no longer want to deal with maintenance work. Others want to be closer to family or to healthcare facilities. The logical conclusion? It's time to move. But moving can be a lot of work, and you may find that you have to do it more than once as your needs and abilities change. For those who don't want to keep relocating, a continuing care retirement community, or CCRC, may be the answer. Each CCRC is unique, but all offer three basic residential options: independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing services. The idea is to provide seniors with easy access within their communities to any level of health services that they may require. Independent living typically gives seniors a choice of several different kinds of homes, such as an apartment, a townhouse, or a villa. Other features of independent living may include a conveniently located fitness center, nearby healthcare facilities, and the option of communal dining. Independent living residents tend to be active. Many drive and like to get out and do things on their own. Yet they benefit from the convenience of life in their CCRCs and from living near other people who are at a similar stage of life. Dan and Joan Muller live in a villa at Asbury Methodist Village in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Well, one thing we were looking for was a sense of community and a sense of activities that we could indulge in. And I think that's one of the very important things was continuing to be active in our lives.
And finding ways to join in with others, and I really emphasize the community because I was lonely out there in the country, and so it was very nice to come into the community.
If you're in need of some help with your daily routines, it's available through a CCRC's assisted living option. Assisted living residences are designed for people who require aid with regular activities such as bathing, grooming, and medication, but who don't need 24-hour skilled care. Some people who live here get around on foot. Others use wheelchairs. All can enjoy a variety of activities that are available in the same building in which they live. Some CCRCs offer assisted living residents health care services in their own apartments. Mary Walden made use of such services when her husband became ill.
We were looking for a place where my husband could be comfortable during his illness, where I could be comfortable and enjoy my life. My husband died just about a year ago, and after a fairly long illness where he was confined right here in our apartment. He never had to leave our apartment. I had care with him around the clock, and the people here were so helpful to help me make that possible for him.
The most intensive care at a CCRC is provided at the skilled nursing facility. Skilled nursing services are available for people who need more constant medical care, whether briefly or for an extended period of time. These residents can still make full use of the community meal plan and can participate in various group activities if they like. If a continuing care retirement community seems right for you, you have no shortage of locations to choose from. There are over 2,000 licensed CCRCs in the United States today. For many seniors, the flexibility of CCRC living provides just the right combination of freedom and security.
Visiting our studio today to tell us more about CCRCs are Patricia Grace and Sherry Parrish. Patricia is the founder and president of Aging with Grace, a geriatric care management company in the Philadelphia area. Sherry Parrish is Residential Life Director of Charlestown Retirement Community, an Erickson Retirement Community in Catonsville, Maryland. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
First of all, tell me a little bit about Aging with Grace. What a delight that your last name is Grace and it's called Aging with Grace. That's luxury.
Yes, I thank my husband for that every
No
day.
kidding. Tell me what you do.
We're a geriatric care management company, as you said, that offers free elder care referral placement.
So a geriatric care management company, so few people know what geriatric care management is. Can you just quickly tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, we help people, we educate them on the options that are most appropriate for their particular needs. We educate, we coordinate, we facilitate.
Okay. And Sherry, what's your role? Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, Charlestown, as you know, is one of the world's largest continuing care retirement communities. And my job is to make sure that the pace of the community is humming at high speed all the time. I'm responsible for departments such as the social work department, our television department, our community resources, our volunteers, the aquatic center and wellness, as well as home health, home sport, and our gift planning department.
Now, what kind of living arrangements does Charlestown offer to its residents?
Well, as you saw in the piece before, there was a description of 3 levels of care, what we call independent living, assisted, and care center, or skilled nursing. Charlestown, as a licensed CCRC, has all 3.
So a CCRC has 3 different parts of it. It has your independent living, it has your living that's more assisted living, and then your skilled nursing living. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and how long have they been around?
I would say about 35 or 40 years they've been in existence. They were really the first pioneers of retirement living.
One of the most beautiful things that I see is when 2 people have been married, and in the piece we talked about it, I think they were married for 50 years, and how you can actually go to the same residence and live, but you have the ability, if your husband has Alzheimer's or your wife has any kind of issues or challenges, medical issues, to live apart yet live together. Tell me a little bit about the philosophy behind CCRCs.
Well, the point is, I hate to say one-stop shopping, but once you make this move into a community that is a CCRC, you've really made a decision about the rest of your life care. And then you go into partnership with the facility, with the people who provide care to make sure that what you need is made available to you. And so whether it's prepaid through a Type A contract or a fee-for-service contract, and those are all predetermined by the community, each CCRC has by its definition the services that you will need. Now, some have them because they're part of the staff. Some have them by contract. But I want to speak just a moment about the definition of independent assisted living and a care center. It may seem that those are fairly separated ways of living, that you move from one into another to another. But in a great CCRC, there really are levels within levels. For example, the family, the couple that you mentioned a moment ago, married many years, one in a more needy state than the other, could in fact, in a good CCRC, stay in their apartment because home care could be delivered to them, and the more well of the couple still be up and about and out, while some assistance is actually brought into the home.
Okay, and could they not also, let's say if there's one member of the couple that has a stroke, for instance, yet they're rehabilitated, you can go back and forth to different areas of CCRCs in reverse?
Absolutely. You can start at any point and graduate to any level. There are people who come in more in a health crisis, with perhaps a fractured hip, and come directly to the care center and or directly to the rehabilitative unit within a care center. They improve their health, they become stable, safe, and then they may go to assisted living for a while just to make sure that they really can manage independently.
Sure.
And as long as they are able, we are very happy to graduate people to full independent living with or without home care.
Which is so very different from most situations. Patricia, I was surprised to find out, and maybe I'm incorrect that it's a small number, but to me it sounded like there are just about 2,000 CCRCs and less than 1 million, almost only 750,000 residents in CCRCs. Has it not caught on, or what's the situation with that?
Well, certainly in my line of work with Aging with Grace, it seems to be the most requested type of senior housing that we get questions for. People, it seems to be very popular in Pennsylvania, where I'm located. I think that very often there could be a deterrent. People don't really understand what they are. They don't understand the contracts. So that could be a downside of why people aren't looking into them in greater numbers.
What makes it different from living in your home? We talked about clearly the continuum of care and having that
Right.
sense of security, but what are some other differences in your opinion?
Well, I think one of the great aspects of it is that it offers you a sense of community. It offers you friendship, meeting new people. It gives you a sense of freedom for safety. There's very often safety devices in the apartments or the townhouses or the cottages in the independent living, also with the assisted living. You also have the knowledge of knowing that there is someone available 24 hours in the medical center. So I think that, for all those reasons, people would be looking at that type of care.
Certainly. Sherry, I want to talk a little bit about social interaction, a little bit more about that mental health aspect. I know that one of the most important added values at Erickson Communities is social interaction, mental health, the ability to be within a community. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we like to think about it as really creating a community that celebrates life. You, during different times in your life, will need Band-Aids, will need medical care, will need a doctor's visit. That is a truth from the beginning to the end of your life. But more important than that is what's happening every single day in your life. People with diabetes still live. People with heart conditions are still getting up and going to meals. And we try very hard not to define people by whatever their diagnoses are, or their current conditions that are being treated, but really as the people they are and the lives they lead. And so to that end, coming to one of these communities and their cities, our founder, John Erickson, is a tremendous visionary, and he sees how people live, and instead of small 40 apartment or 300 unit facilities, we build 2,000 plus. Sure. Now that might be daunting to people, but it builds a city, and within the city, life can grow at whatever pace you may want to do.
Absolutely.
So the busy bees are busy, and the people who want to sit in the lobby and watch life go by and enjoy it a little bit from a distance.
Have that freedom.
They have a full
We're
parade.
going to come right back in a second and talk more. It's time to take a break. Stay with us because we'll be back shortly to continue our discussion about CCRCs with Patricia Grace and Sherry Parrish.
Who said you're never too old to become younger? A. Mae West. B. Rita Hayworth. C. Marilyn Monroe. Who said you're never too old to become younger? A. Mae West. Mae West lived to be 87 years old.
Hello again. In this first half of today's Daily Apple, we're talking about continuing care retirement communities and what they have to offer. With me are two women who know a great deal about the subject. Patricia Grace of the Philadelphia area company Aging with Grace, and Sherry Parrish of Charlestown Retirement Community in Catonsville, Maryland. So Sherry, we were talking in our previous segment a little bit about mental health, about community, about social interaction, and how CCRCs add value to that. Tell me a little bit about how Erickson Community has set that up, because I know that that's an important philosophy there.
Well, the social component of one's life, frankly, is the tie that binds all of the pieces of one's life. And we're much more than a series of diagnoses and medical tests and physician appointments, even though it's very important that we have all the services available to support the medical and clinical pieces of one's life. But what we have done through the vision of John Erickson, our founder and chairman of the board, is to create cities so that whether you are a very busy individual who likes to be out and about, or someone who likes to watch and be a little more quiet in the lobbies, there's really a life for you to be a part of. I mean, we've removed your need to drive if you don't want to, and certainly don't have to cook with the many restaurants and eating venues that we have, and there's no shoveling of snow or shopping. So what does one do with all that time and energy, but you participate in a quality of life that really is, it's not available on your own.
Seems to me you've taken all the hassle out of living.
Well, I hope so.
and made it a pure joy. Patricia, tell me, from a cost-effective or lack thereof standpoint, is it expensive to move into a CCRC?
It depends. It can be somewhat daunting for some individuals, but you start off with an entrance fee or an endowment fee. In some communities, that's refundable. In a traditional CCRC, you have an entrance fee that can range anywhere from, in the Philadelphia area, from $10,000 up to $500,000. And then, of course, you have a monthly service fee. Different contracts offer different types of options for you.
So from a contractual basis, you sign a contract, and is it almost like condo living, and then who owns it? How does it work where you live?
Well, it depends. Again, it depends on the type of community that you move into. Some of them you buy and you sell back when you leave. It's left to your heirs and they can sell it back. And that was what gives a refundable deposit. Others are more like condo living, where you pay that entrance fee and it's your endowment. It guarantees you care for the remainder of your life.
So in that case, Sherry, do you not need long-term care insurance if you live in a CCRC, or how does it
Well,
work?
long-term care insurance really is a way of protecting your assets and your family's assets. It's like any other insurance policy. If you've invested in that and you need the service available and you call upon it, then you're not drawing out of your bank account or out of other assets that you have. So we encourage people, if they want to protect their assets, to buy long-term care insurance.
Patricia,
In our particular facility, it's sort of a cross of the two examples that Patricia had. We have a Type C fee-for-service CCRC where people come and sign a contract that has a litany of services available, from your apartment to 24-hour security and maintenance and meals, at least a main meal of the day, which is a 5 to 7 course meal. Theaters, 3 stores.
5 to 7 course meal.
Oh yeah, it beats cooking. Let me tell you.
Listen,
And
that one didn't go over.
Yeah, right,
It's a 5 to 7 course meal.
Yeah.
Are there that many courses? Wow.
Well,
okay.
you know, it's in some ways it's like being on a cruise ship.
No kidding.
You come and you enjoy. Our intention is that you have the very best years of your life
Did you get
in
a
our
Cabana
community.
Boy at your place?
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, Pat, you call me when you're ready to move in, and we'll see that.
We'll take care of you. So, on a more serious note, though, are they regulated across the country? Tell me about the regulation.
Well, it really is different from state to state. Excuse me. There's not a regulating body. However, there is a commission that accreditates. It's the Continuing Care Accreditation Commission. And people apply for accreditation, and it's really like the housekeeping stamp of approval, good housekeeping stamp of approval.
So, can you repeat what that is again, the name of the accreditation?
Yes, it's the Continuing Care Accreditation Commission.
Okay, now if there's an accreditation commission, and across the country there's different types of accreditation, I would assume, or how much do CCRCs vary? Let's say we have a viewer that's in DC versus Boston. How would they know that there's some kind of similarity or regulation amongst those?
Well, they could check with their area agency on aging. They could check with their Department of Health. That's where I would start. I would also start with the commission, looking at the area where you are interested and speaking with them. They would be able to provide you with the greatest guideline.
Sherry, do all CCRCs have similar levels of medical care, or is it better in some versus others?
Well, it's like each restaurant; they're all different.
Yeah,
you know,
they're all different.
The quality of medical care and of clinical care varies across the board. So how would you know a good one from a not so good one? Like you know that about anything else. You ask your friends and your neighbors. You check on experiences. I agree, looking for a facility that has what we call CCAC accreditation is definitely good, but there are probably good communities that don't have it. It's a peer review organization where we all pay to have this peer group come in and measure our service against preset criterion. And so we believe that having that, as you say, a stamp of approval is very important. But it is the only accreditation body in the entire country.
Exactly.
And they look at little places and larger places, but with a set of criteria that are appropriate for each.
When you talk about criteria, can an individual who has had, for instance, a lifelong physician that they've been going to on a regular basis, can they continue to go to that physician even though?
Oh, sure. I mean, and that's the beauty of a CCRC. They offer a tremendous amount of flexibility. Most CCRCs have physicians that come and visit residents there, but you always have that flexibility of keeping your own physician.
What about Medicare? Does Medicare cover, or how does it treat CCRCs?
Medicare is tricky. It is the federal government's insurance for very specific things. There is some misinterpretation, as there always has been, that if you go into a nursing home, Medicare will pay for that. Well, Medicare pays for acute and rehabilitative care. If you need chronic care or long-term care in a care center, and I'm sure you've dealt with this in your practice, clarifying
Yes.
this, then very short stays or very specific treatments are covered. But most care in a nursing home is private pay or through long-term care insurance, which is why, you know, we certainly encourage people, if they have the fees and the funds available to them, to pay that money up front to buy the insurance.
However, if I may just add this, some CCRCs will actually accept Medicaid when an individual's money runs out if they're in the skilled nursing center. Not all, but some will.
Before we close, Sherry, I do want to ask you about medical assessment. When a person enters a CCRC, what happens in terms of assessing their medical situation?
Well, in our case, there are a couple of interviews, and one is certainly financial. But the determination about whether someone is appropriate at a level of care is done in our facility by a trained professional. And the issue is not, do we want you or not? We definitely want people to be a part. But do we have the services available to you at each level of care that will help your stay for the rest of your life be successful and what you want it to be. And so the assessment is to determine what services you may need.
This has been great information. I thank you both so much for being
Our
here
pleasure.
today.
Thank you. It's been great.